Kids during middle childhood are starting to um, better be able to kind of be in charge over their own schedule. They can do their homework. They know when they get home from school, they go right to their homework and can complete that and kind of get on a routine. They can um, start learning some responsibility on certain things, and this is kind of where that strive for independence kind of starts, and we'll certainly see it kick up in adolescence, but it definitely starts kind of in these middle childhood years, particularly closer to middle school, as they're getting ready for high school. There is more information on this on page 283 in your book. Kids are starting to pull away from their parents a little bit. They're looking, their peers are becoming a little bit more important. They do still have some things still in common, some same shared activities, but it does start to push away, particularly as they get closer to adolescence. Middle childhood is a key time when kind of this self-conscious self-criticism really starts to kick in. You start to feel like you need to be part of the group. Other people are paying attention to you. We'll definitely deep dive into that more in adolescence, but it's definitely picking up, particularly towards the end of middle childhood. One thing to note about resilience is that they say that a resilient person can only be classified as such if they are overcoming significant adversity, but also accumulated stresses over time, which could be even minor ones. They say even just really kind of generic daily hassles are sometimes more devastating to a person than an isolated major stressor from just one significant event. Accumulated stress does accumulate over time. I just said this. Daily hassles are more detrimental than an isolated major stressor. A daily hassle is going to be it's easier for me to think of this in terms of an adult, but even just getting road rage on the road, getting, missing your alarm, waking up a little bit late, so now you have to rush, for locking your keys in the car, or, I don't know, a fight with your partner, or X, Y, or Z. I mean, we could just really go on and on. Not understanding your homework, not, getting in a fight with your friend or whatever. These little daily stressors can certainly add up over time and lead to less adaptive outcomes. A child's interpretation of a family situation, so how they're perceiving the event, impacts how the situation affects that person. Parentification is just when a child ends up acting more like a parent than the actual parent. They're kind of doing that. Maybe having to caregive for their parent or whatever. The child takes on that feeling of responsibility. We kind of talked a little bit about this when we were looking at like differential susceptibility, but basically, non-shared environments do become more prominent as you get older because you're able to leave the house and you maybe do more things outside of your core living arrangement, but that how that affects you, even your shared environment is affecting how you perceive the world. You may still have different outcomes even if you've kind of grown up in the same space. So and there's a lot of reason for that. Even if it's seemingly that you're having the same experience, let's just say we were all sitting in a classroom right now talking over this lecture. Um, we're all still having a different experience, even though we're all experiencing the same thing. I would be teaching to you and looking out at you, you would be looking at me. Um, and maybe thinking about something else, maybe thinking about a fight that you had, or other homework that you have, or a big test that you have coming up, or something at work, or something with your kids, or so on and so on and so on. We're all having a different experience, and even if we're all just tuned in and taking in the information, maybe there's some things that you understand better, maybe there's some things you don't understand as well. We're still interpreting and perceiving the information that comes in a different way. So that certainly affects how kids are perceiving their environment, how they kind of react to different things, whether they feel like, oh, dad is favoring our little brother here who's on his shoulders. If you kind of perceive that dad likes him better, that's going to affect the way that down the road remember experiences and things. So there's a lot to be said about perception, even within your shared environment.